Dr. Wonderful and her dog blast off to the moon. By Lauren Gunderson. One very normal Tuesday, Dr. Wonderful came home from school with two things on her mind. 1. Her little dog, Newton. 2. A question she couldn't wait to answer. Dr. Wonderful loved asking big questions and answering them. Felt like solving great mysteries. So, she sprang into her bed, sending Newton for a loop, and asked, "Why does the moon shrink?" "What do you mean the moon shrinks?" Newton asked. "For the past week I've noticed that the moon is getting smaller," Dr. Wonderful said, pointing to the moon's white crescent. "But a week ago it was getting bigger. Every month it shrinks down to a sliver and disappears before it grows back to a ball. What I don't know is why." The moon is so far away, Dr. Wonderful thought. How are we going to solve this mystery? Newton licked her face, trying to be helpful. Dr. Wonderful's eyes went as wide as she got an idea. "We can go to the moon in the Space-tastic Mind-Mobile." "I call front seat," Newton said. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off! They soared away from the Earth and headed straight for the moon. As they got closer and closer, the moon got bigger and brighter. "Where do they plug it in?" Newton asked. "They don't, but it is bright. I wonder if the moon makes its own light, like the sun, or reflects like a mirror," Dr. Wonderful said. Then she noticed that the closer their spaceship got to the moon, the larger its shadow became. If we can see the shadow, it must mean that the moon doesn't make a light like a star. It reflects the light coming from the sun. Back on Earth, the moon looked like a crescent, but now I can see that the crescent is a part of a big ball," Newton said, getting excited. Anything that looked like a ball reminded him of his favorite game, fetch. "You're right," Dr. Wonderful said, and started a list of clues that might help her understand why the moon shrinks. 1. The moon reflects light. 2. From Earth, the moon looks like a crescent. 3. But the moon is actually a ball. Newton couldn't resist chasing and chewing his own ball, which floated around the spaceship weightlessly. Watching Newton circle around the ball reminded Dr. Wonderful that the moon circles around, or orbits, the Earth. She added to her list of clues. 4. Moon orbits Earth every month. 5. Tell Mom I need a bigger telescope. Dr. Wonderful did what she always did when she got closer to answering a big question. "Think, think, think, think," she said as the spaceship went sink, 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 sink to the surface of the moon. When they stepped out of their spaceship and looked around at the strange gray ground, all they could say was, "Wow!" Things were very different on the moon than on the Earth. It was so bright, Dr. Wonderful had to wear special moon glasses. Instead of walking, they bounced around like old balloons. Each step lifted them higher and higher and set them down slower than on Earth. "Woohoo!" Newton said, jumping off the ground and twirling, twisting, tumbling before touching back down. Then they spotted the most amazing thing they'd ever seen, Earth. They waved everyone back at their beautiful planet. During a quick break to play the coolest game of fetch in the universe, Dr. Wonderful noticed that the crescent-shaped shadow on Newton's ball made it look kind of like a moon. "Interesting," Dr. Wonderful said, pocketing the ball and adding a clue. 6. Shadow makes ball look like crescent. "Come on, Newton," she said. "I think we're close to solving this moon mystery." As they bounced along, Dr. Wonderful noticed that her shadow was getting longer in front of her as the sun was getting lower behind her. She added to her list of moon clues. "Shadows lengthen as sun sets behind us." Then they walked into complete darkness and the sun couldn't reach them. "It feels like we're in one big shadow," Dr. Wonderful thought. She ran to the bright side of the moon and scribbled down more clues. 8. The moon has a dark side and a light side. 9. Light side is sunny. 10. Dark side is shadowy. "That's it," Dr. Wonderful said, standing right in the middle of the light and the dark. "The moon doesn't actually shrink. It just looks like it does because of its shadow." "How does a shadow make something shrink?" Newton asked. "Only half the moon is lit by the sun, while the other half is in shadow," Dr. Wonderful said. "On Earth, we can't see the part of the moon in the shadow, so as the moon orbits the Earth, we see different parts of the shadow, and it looks like the moon is growing and shrinking." Think of the moon as this ball and the sun as my flashlight. If the side of the moon facing you is lit by the sun, you can see the whole bright ball, a full moon, right? Well, but if the side of the moon you see is only partly lit by the sun, you only see part of the ball, or a crescent. And if there is no light on the side of the moon facing Earth, well, you'll see nothing. You won't see anything. So the moon is always there, even if you can't see it? Newton asked. Right, Dr. Wonderful said, and gave Newton a big moon hug. With their mystery finally solved, they played one last game of bouncy moon tag before heading home. That night, as Newton snoozed in the moonlight, Dr. Wonderful fell asleep thinking, I wonder what mystery we'll solve tomorrow. Dr. Wonderful's Lunar Fun Facts. Lunar means anything to do with the moon. Sun, the only star in our solar system. It shines light on every object in the solar system. Lunar phases are what the scientists call the changes we see in the moon during the course of the month. When the moon is fully lit by the sun, it's called a full moon. When the side of the moon covered in the shadow is facing Earth and we can't see it at all, it's called a new moon. The moon is 238,900 miles from Earth. The moon is made of rock. The moon is a quarter as wide as the Earth, and you can fit 64 moons inside the Earth. Meteorites are rocks flying through space that hit the surface of the planet or a moon. Craters are the dents and dips in the moon when meteorites collided with it long ago.